I studied my reflection in the glass door of my brother's sleek San Diego townhouse, steeling myself for another Friday night dinner filled with snide remarks and backhanded compliments. My aging Subaru Outback sat quietly in the driveway, strategically parked between Ethan's Tesla and Camille's BMW X5. The car was part of the image I maintained, just like the budget-friendly condo I rented for family visits, the plain cardigan I wore tonight, and the story I'd spun for the last 5 years. That I was a struggling app developer still figuring it out. That narrative was about to end tonight. Well, look who finally showed. Camille greeted me, her gold bracelet catching the light as she tossed her hair. She scanned my outfit with a practiced smirk. "Veil hunting the clearance rack, huh?" She said she didn't know the cardigan was a custom cashmere piece from Milan's worth more than her entire bag collection. But I smiled. That wasn't part of the story. Laughter inside. The usual performance played out. Mom fussing over overpriced flower arrangements. Dad lounging in his corner chair with the Wall Street Journal folded at his side. Ethan flashing his Omega watch, while his fiancée Kayla gushed over their upcoming wedding in Tuscany. "Delilah," Mom said, kissing the air near my cheek. "We were just praising Ethan's new role. Director of Operations now. And Camille just closed another massive home staging contract." "Impressive," I said, settling into the same wobbly bar stool they always left for me. Ethan glanced my way. "And you still doing whatever it is you do?" "App design," I replied, taking a slow sip of wine. In 32 minutes, TechCrunch would break the news. My company had just been acquired for $86 million. Actually, Dad interrupted. "Marcus from my golf club said his firm needs junior tech support. It's not glamorous, but at least is steady. You might even upgrade your ride," Ethan added. "I'm good with my Subaru," I said mildly. "It gets me where I need to go." Camille snorted. "Yeah, coffee shops and shared office spaces. Honestly, Delilah, when are you going to face reality? Not everyone's lucky enough to have trust funds and backup plans," Kayla added, adjusting her diamond tennis bracelet, a birthday gift from Ethan. "No doubt." Mom stepped out of the kitchen carrying her signature rosemary chicken, the Friday family dinner staple. "Let's not be harsh," she said gently. "Delilah is still finding her path." At 31, Ethan chuckled. "Come on, Mom. Let's be honest. Some people just aren't built for the big leagues." I glanced at my watch. 29 minutes. "Well," I began, "I do have a bit of news." "Please don't say you're still clinging to that app thing," Dad interrupted. "How much money have you funneled into that pipe dream?" The app thing was Pulse Mind Systems, an AI platform I'd started as a side project in college. It was now a market leader in neurological predictive tech. "I've had some promising developments," I said again. "Oh God," Camille groaned. "Not another pitch. Remember the last one, Ethan?" She raised what? $50 on Kickstarter? I resisted the urge to smile. Tucked under my sleeve, the ticking of my Patek Philippe, a gift to myself this morning, was the only response I needed. 17 minutes. Speaking of money, Mom chimed in, clearly shifting gears. "Ethan and Kayla just locked in a lakefront villa in Tahoe, and I'm expanding into coastal staging," Camille added. "Palm Springs is next." "Must be hard," Kayla said sweetly, "watching everyone else move forward while well, still driving that antique." "My Subaru is a 2011, I replied calmly. "It's reliable, has character." "Is that what we're calling broke now?" Ethan snorted. Dad muted the TV. The glowing finance ticker at the bottom of the screen rolled silently. "Econ 12 minutes. Delilah," Mom said gently as she passed me the salad. There's no shame in asking for help. Your father and I can't still. I told you she wasted that trust fund. Camille cut in. Mine went into real estate. Hers that tech fantasy. The trust fund. That seed money turned into a multi-million-dollar acquisition deal. Delilah. Ethan leaned closer. Smug. It's time to accept it. You're not cut out for business. Some of us lead, others watch. 5 minutes. Wine, sweetheart, Mom offered. No thanks, I said. Need a clear head for later. Ooh, hot date, Camille teased. Barista, or maybe another guy with a vision. Actually, I said. Conference call. Some investors in what? Dad scoffed. Cupcake app. That app thing again. Ethan scoffed, swirling his wine. Give it up, Delilah. Not everyone's built for success. Before I could respond, the television blared to life. Dad had accidentally hit the wrong button while reaching for the remote. Breaking news. The CNBC anchor announced in a surprising move. Tech giant Orion Systems has acquired Pulse Mind Solutions for $2.1 billion in cash and equity. The room froze. The AI platform founded by San Diego-based developer Delilah Cross has been quietly powering neurological research across multiple sectors. Experts are calling it one of the largest acquisitions in West Coast tech this year. The crystal in Dad's hand slipped, the wine glass shattering against the marble floor. What? Camille whispered, her tone brittle. The deal places Cross among the youngest tech billionaires in the country. The anchor continued. Pulse Mind's estimated annual revenue is over $300 million. My phone vibrated with notifications. Press requests, investor messages, social pings, years of silence erupting in a single instant. I calmly reached for it. About those developments I mentioned earlier, I said quietly. Shall we discuss them now? The silence stretched painfully long. Mom set her fork down with a faint clink, her fingers trembling against the edge of her plate. The television kept broadcasting every detail they'd been blind to. Sources confirmed that Cross retained 100% ownership throughout the company's growth. The anchor added, her stealth strategy has drawn both admiration and shock from the industry. Turn it off, Camille hissed. But no one moved. I glanced at my phone. Calls from Bloomberg, Wired, Forbes. Ethan was pale. Is this some kind of stunt? A prank? I pulled my laptop from my bag. Not the old beat-up decoy they were used to seeing, but the real one. Would you like to see the acquisition agreement? I offered. It's all there. But your apartment, Mom managed. That car covers, I said, opening a folder with my real estate assets. Same with the co-working space I rent. I actually own the entire building. Rational developer story. I added, eyes sweeping the room. It was useful. I got to see people's true colors. Dad's voice cracked, angry and confused. You lied to us, did I? I met his gaze. Or did you lie to yourselves, assuming I was nothing before you ever asked who I really was? Camille shoved her chair back with a screech across the wood. If you think this dinner was dramatic, just wait until you see who shows up at her investor gala. Hit subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. All those times I couldn't afford the family vacations, I said, folding my napkin. I was in Silicon Valley meeting with investors or in Tokyo finalizing our Asia-Pacific expansion. I let that hang before adding or in London closing on a townhouse in Mayfair. Camille blinked rapidly. That coding meetup last Christmas. I was negotiating a $100 million Zero Series C funding round. But why? Kayla asked, her voice cracking. Why live like that? Like someone beneath you? I said gently, because wealth reveals character. both when you have it and when you assume someone else doesn't. My phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't a decoy notification. It was Maria, my actual assistant. Yes, Maria. As Cross Orion Co. is ready for the press briefing, and the NYSC team is confirming the bell ringing. Ceremony tomorrow. Confirm both, I said smoothly. And have the car brought around. The Bentley or the Aston Martin? I looked over at Ethan, still glued to his Rolex. The Bentley. Mom let out a quiet sob. All these years we treated you like a disappointment. I offered a cautionary tale. The one who didn't fit your mold. Dad stood trying to regain his footing. Now listen here. Just because you've stumbled into some success. I opened my laptop again. Would you like to see the real numbers? The properties, the investment holdings, the offshore trusts. He slowly sank back into his chair. Outside the window, my driver opened the door to the Bentley parked next to my dusty Subaru. Fitting, really. 6 years, I said quietly. Snorts of watching you fund Camille's failed expansions while mocking me. Of enduring Ethan's smug lectures while I built a billion-dollar company. Of Mom's forced sympathy and Dad's constant disapproval. We were trying to help, Mom whispered. No, I said you were trying to control me. Your definition of success, country clubs, corporate titles, and family money. Victoria wiped at her mascara. So, this was revenge making us look like fools. I shook my head. Not revenge. A reminder about judgment, about assumptions, and about who people become when no one's watching. My phone buzzed again. Now, if you'll excuse me, I said, rising and smoothing my custom blazer. I have a press conference to attend. I have a company to take public. I said as I stepped toward the door. Wait, Ethan called behind me. All those times you asked me for investment advice. I was studying you, I replied, pausing just long enough to meet his eyes. Learning exactly what not to do with wealth. How not to let money define worth or character. Outside, the Bentley purred like a well-kept secret. Through the tall living room windows, I saw neighbors gathering, whispering, trying to piece together the story behind the luxury car and the rising voices. One more thing, I said, turning back with a faint smile. That trust fund you all said I wasted. They stared. Invested it in Amazon and Tesla back in 2016. Snort greater than that original $50,000. It's worth a little over $8 million zero now. Dad's face went from red to nearly purple. Funny how that works. I continued. When you actually understand the tech, you're mocking instead of just name-dropping stocks over cocktails. I checked my watch. The press conference starts in under an hour. Would you prefer to watch it here? Or should I have Maria send you the highlights? The next morning, I stood on the steps of the New York Stock Exchange. Flashbulbs lighting up like fireworks. My simple blazer had been replaced by a tailored Chanel suit. One that cost more than Camille's entire staging inventory. My family stood off in the crowd. Mom looked dazed. Dad wore smiles so stiff it could crack. Ethan watched me like I was a math problem he couldn't solve. And Camille. She looked like her worldview had imploded. Miss Cross, a reporter called out. How does it feel to be the youngest female tech billionaire? I smiled. Success doesn't care about gender or age. It cares about vision and the grit to keep going when no one believes in you. Your family must be proud, another shouted. Actually, I said, glancing toward them, I built Pulse Mine without family support. Sometimes doubt is the best fuel. Later during a break, Camille approached hesitantly. The department, she said, was it always? The smallest of the 6 I own in Manhattan. I answered. The building itself part of my portfolio. In those times, I borrowed money for your coding stuff. I was acquiring startups, I said, stepping into the elevator. Ones I now own. Adjusted my Cartier watch. No need to keep it hidden anymore. The $2,000 I borrowed from you last year, I said, turning slightly toward Camille. That wasn't desperation. It was a test. Her brows knit. A test to see if you'd hold it over me, I said. You did, by the way. You mentioned it at every family dinner for 3 straight months. She winced. Delilah, I save it. I cut hair off. The time for apologies was during those 6 years you treated me like I was beneath you. Not now that you realize I'm worth more than your entire client roster combined. Ethan chose that moment to slide in with a polished smile. Sis, hey, about those investment opportunities I mentioned a while back. You mean the ones you said I was too dumb to understand? I replied coolly, checking my phone. Next Mind stock was now at $2,680. I had my analyst review them. Would you like a full breakdown of why every single one failed? He took a step back, the smile slipping. Behind them, Mom and Dad lingered near the steps, their once carefully maintained image unraveling. The daughter they dismissed as a dropout was now wealthier than every couple at their golf club combined. Miss Cross, Maria approached with my tablet. Your interviews are booked through 3 p.m. board meeting at 4 o'clock. Also, Time magazine is requesting your photo shoot for next month's cover. Thank you, Maria. I accepted the tablet and theater matter. She handed me a folder. The audit you requested. 10 years of your family's financial history. Dad's face turned an eerie shade of gray. You investigated us. Knowledge is power, I said, flipping pages. Like knowing Camille's firm is about to default, or that Ethan's been fabricating sales numbers, or that your portfolio isn't half what you boast about at the country club. You had no right, Dad began. I had every right, I snapped. You judged my life endlessly while hiding your own financial collapse. The debt, the missed payments, the maxed out cards. Mom stepped forward, tears in her mascara. We only wanted what was best. No, you wanted me to look successful by your standards, labels, cars, status. I closed the folder. I built real wealth. And now I turn to Camille. You want to know if I'm going to release this. I studied Camille. Really studied her for the first time in years. Beneath the designer silk and perfect makeup, I saw something raw. Fear. Not of me. Beautiful exposure. The same fear that had driven her to mock my choices. To measure self-worth with handbags and hashtags. Actually, I said calmly, I'm going to give you a choice. Maria stepped forward and handed me another folder. Option 1, I said, keep pretending. Keep living on image. Bleeding money into appearances until the collapse finally comes. I paused. Option 2, let me help you build something real. Help us, Ethan scoffed. Now you're offering charity. But I saw the flicker of desperation in his eyes. I looked at each of them. Whole Sign is expanding globally. We need committed people in several divisions. Entry level only. No titles, no corner offices, just real work. I handed them each a document, an employment agreement wrapped in a clause of complete financial transparency, accountability, and one critical condition. No more masks. Entry level, Camille whispered, scanning the page. But I own my firm, a firm that's 3 months from insolvency, I reminded her. Sometimes success means starting from scratch. I would know you watched me do it while ridiculing me for 6 years. Dad stepped forward. The confidence he once wore like armor had vanished. And if we decline, then nothing changes. I said plainly, you'll keep faking stability, measuring worth, and borrowed luxury, knowing full well that the disappointment in the family could quietly buy everything you're pretending to own. My phone buzzed, pulse my stock, close at $275. My net worth had crossed $3 billion zero. You have 24 hours, I added, gathering my things. Maria will show you out. Wait, Mom said suddenly. All those dinners you listened to us talk down to you. I looked back just once. It was educational, I said. I learned that real wealth isn't what you flaunt. It's what you build. It's how you treat people when you think they're beneath you. The cameras flashed as I walked through the lobby. Tomorrow's headline already writing itself. Behind me, Camille sobbed. Ethan argued with Kayla. Dad tried to pretend he still had control, but I didn't look back. I passed my Bentley and slid into the old Toyota because confidence doesn't need validation. As I drove away, Maria texted me. All for signed. Tomorrow they'd start at the bottom earning what they once mocked. Because the best revenge isn't flexing your fortune. It's making them build their own. If you've ever been underestimated, judged by appearances, or told you weren't enough, drop a comment. I built success in silence, but now I want to hear your voice. Tell me what you've overcome. Let others know they're not alone. And remember, real wealth is built in mindset before it shows in numbers. Subscribe if you believe quiet strength can change everything. We're rewriting what success really looks like.